This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. eHealth Radio gives you the most current health information, news, and advice featuring some of the leading innovators in healthcare and wellness who are changing healthcare as we know it. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. Today we're speaking with Dr. Peter Kozlowski, MD, a family medicine residency graduate who has devoted his career to helping uncover the underlying cause of chronic disease through functional medicine. He serves patients in person and online via his Montana and Chicago-based practices. His new book is Unfunc Your Gut, Boost Your Immune System, Heal Your Gut, and Unlock Your Mental, Emotional, and Spiritual Health. And Dr. Kozlowski, thanks for joining us here today on the program.
It's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
And of course, we all appreciate your time and for coming out to be with us here today. So for starters, Hippocrates said that all disease begins in the gut. Can you explain this to us to kick things off today?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to keep things simple. And I think the reason that Hippocrates said that is because the gut is the gateway of the outside environment to get inside your body. Right? And most people think of their skin as a barrier to keep things out, which it is, but the skin is very thick. It's three different layers of cells with multiple cells in it. So very hard for things to get into your body through the skin. But the gut is a tube that starts with the mouth and ends with the anus. There's openings on both ends. The inside of your gut is actually considered outside of your body. So if you swallow something, if you chew something, swallow it, and then you poop it out, it's never been in your body. But what the gut does through digestion and absorption is let nutrients and the good stuff into your blood and keep the toxins out. And the term that most people have probably heard of at this point, leaky gut, basically means that the barrier is lost. It's like your gut is a bouncer at a nightclub to keep people out. Well, that's what the gut does, is try to keep toxins out. But when you chronically inflame your gut through our standard American diet, the SAD diet, through antibiotics, through medications, through stress, through toxins like lead and mercury, the gut lining loses its barrier. And then everything that we're being exposed to floods into the body, into the blood. What's waiting in the blood is the immune system. The immune system, when it sees genetically modified soy or corn or toxins from dysbiosis or heavy metals or mold, it will attack, which creates inflammation. And now you've got inflammation in the blood. And what happens with the blood? It goes everywhere, from your head to your toes. So you could take 100 people with SIBO or Candida overgrowth, and they all have different symptoms. They can all present differently, but the underlying issue is the same. A leaky gut, letting toxins into the body, the immune system responding, and disease happens.
Well, I'm sure with that information, you have gotten the attention of the listening audience for sure. Now, what is functional medicine and how is it different than seeing, say, our traditional doctor?
Yeah, so I've been through training in both, and I started, regular medical school, family practice residency, 3 years. And what I realized pretty quickly is that we are more or less brainwashed by the pharmaceutical industry. The medical, in my opinion, traditional medical education is basically just what the pharmaceutical industry wants us to know. Functional medicine is individualized medicine. It's personalized medicine. The point of it is to figure out why someone's sick. And through figuring out why, we can help them heal. And in general, we look at what does the body have too much of and what does the body not have enough of. Too much is inflammation coming from the standard American diet, toxins, dysbiosis, stress. Not enough testosterone, not enough progesterone, not enough thyroid, not enough vitamin D, not enough nutrition in your diet. So through looking at what the person, I'm very objective when it comes to my practice. I like to order testing, so we test for these different things, and then we balance the body. And through doing that, we've had pretty amazing results with everything from like autism to Hashimoto's to dementia and osteoporosis prevention. So I work with people from all ages, and to basically, functional medicine. Unfortunately, is still a last stop for most people. It's okay. I've been to Mayo Clinic. I've been to Cleveland Clinic. I've been to all my university hospitals locally. I've seen 5 GI doctors, and it's kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'll try this functional medicine because I'm literally out of hope. My hope and dream one day is that functional medicine becomes preventative medicine. That people come to me when they're still healthy and they just want to prevent disease from happening. What 99% of my practice is I've been diagnosed with these different conditions. I'm on these immunosuppressive or toxic drugs. They're not even working anymore. So please help me figure this out. And at that point, the job is a lot more difficult. Whereas if somebody would come in, if this was practiced from pediatrics, I think we'd be seeing a lot less chronic disease.
Very, very interesting your take on that, and thanks for your input as well. Now, what are food sensitivities, and what can one do to find out if they have any?
Great question. The first step, if you've never worked with a functional medicine doctor and you've never done an elimination diet, is an elimination diet, and that is to diagnose food sensitivities. If you schedule a visit with a functional medicine practitioner and they don't start you on an elimination diet, then they're probably not doing it right. So it really is the first step. And that is because food sensitivities are really nasty, and they're different. When your body reacts to food, there's 3 different types of reactions. Someone can be allergic to a food, someone can have celiac disease, and someone can have a sensitivity. Different types of antibodies cause those responses. So an allergy is due to an IgE response, celiac is an IgA response, and a sensitivity is an IgG response. The difference is allergies and celiac happen basically right after you eat the food. So somebody doesn't make it to 30 years old without knowing that they're allergic to peanuts. And celiac disease, even your traditional doctor should not have a difficult time diagnosing that because it's a blood test and then maybe a biopsy, and it's pretty easy to figure out. Sensitivities are what we work with. And sensitivities to me are the silent killer because the reaction when you're sensitive to a food is delayed hours to days after eating that food. So let's say I eat a bagel every day for breakfast. I feel fine and I get through my day, but then I start developing migraines. So I go to my regular doctor. They give me a pain pill for migraines, right? And so I'm taking the pain pill, my migraines get better. I'm eating the bagel, I feel fine, but the migraines keep coming back. So then a few months or weeks on the pain pill, now I've developed GI issues. So I go to my doctor, I'm like, all right, well, now I have GI issues and migraines. So then they give you usually an acid blocker, right? And so now you're on 2 pills and you're still eating the bagel and you have no clue that that's what's making you sick, but now you've got side effects from the medication. So you start getting depressed because you can't figure this out. So you go back to the doctor and they're like, well, here, take an antidepressant. And so now you're on 3 meds and your symptoms have all gotten worse. And the whole time you never assessed your diet. And it sucks because you'll never know. You'll never know that you're sensitive to a food unless you do an elimination diet. So what an elimination diet is 21 days of cutting out a list of foods. It's listed in the book. We've got recipes in the book. So you cut the foods out for 21 days and then add them back in one by one using a tracking journal. For example, the top 5 or 6 offenders are gluten, dairy, soy, corn, eggs, and sugar. So I'm always a why person, right? Like, why 21 days? When I first learned about an elimination diet coming from traditional medicine, I was very skeptical. I was like, this sounds like it's made up. But it's based on science, and everything in your body has a half-life. So whether you drink alcohol, your hormones in your body, if you accumulate lead and mercury or mold, everything has a clearance time. That's why some medications are taken once a day, some are taken once a month, some are 4 times a day. It's basically how quick is your body metabolizing those things. Well, the half-life of IgG antibodies is 21 days. So if I had a bagel today for breakfast and I have 100 antibodies floating around right now that are responding to gluten, if I completely avoid gluten for the next 21 days, my immune response will cut in half to 50. And then on day 22, when I eat the food again, the immune system, if it's identified gluten as an invader, it will attack it and I'll get symptoms. So a migraine might develop. I might get an outbreak in my skin with acne or eczema. I might get diarrhea. I might get insomnia. So we have a full tracking journal in the book that people can use to self-diagnose themselves with food sensitivities. In my experience, in my opinion, this is the gold standard. There's a lot of practitioners in my field that order food sensitivity panels. I've never ordered one of those in my career because they are basically just, they're actually a food sensitivity test is the best test for leaky gut. Because typically, what a food sensitivity test will show is a bunch of foods that you've been eating for the last few months because your gut lining is leaky. So, and you might get some benefit from it because they typically tell you to cut out gluten and dairy, but it's not a reliable result. And so, I love that with an elimination diet because some people can do it on their own. I've put all the instructions in my book. I have a patient who is a chef. She's been in remission from rheumatoid arthritis for over 7 years now, just through diet. And so she was very passionate about it because of her kind of miraculous improvement. So when I was writing my book, I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, can you write recipes for us?" So the nice thing is if someone's interested in functional medicine, they can pick up a copy of the book, learn about an elimination diet, get recipes. And for a lot of people, that's enough. A lot of people don't have to get deeper into testing their gut or testing for toxins. Sometimes an elimination diet does the trick. So I highly, highly recommend it. I personally do an elimination diet, try to once a year because food sensitivities change. Just because I'm sensitive or not sensitive to something today doesn't mean it'll be the same a year from now. So I'd like to check in once a year and make sure that my body is not reacting to different things.
Well, that is some golden information right there, thoroughly covered. Can't thank you enough for spending a good moment to cover that with the audience today. We're speaking with Dr. Peter Kozlowski, MD, a family medicine residency graduate who serves patients in person and online via his Montana and Chicago-based practices. His new book is Unfunc Your Gut, Boost Your Immune System, Heal Your Gut, and Unlock Your Mental and Emotional and Spiritual Health here on eHealth Radio's Health News Channel, a part of the eHealth Radio Network. Now, Dr. Kozlowski, your passion is the gut-brain connection and the effects of mental, emotional, spiritual on physical health. Can you talk to us about the connections and how did your own journey impact you in these regards?
Absolutely. So my story briefly is that I'm a recovering alcoholic, and when I was trying to, I never thought I had a problem. I always thought I was just a binge drinker, and it was kind of like work hard, play hard. And then when I tried cutting alcohol out of my life, I had no idea how to manage life. So when I was actually an intern in residency, I went to a 6-week treatment program to figure out what's going on with me. And my whole treatment was all about my mental, emotional, spiritual health, and it had nothing to do with alcohol. So that's where I was really introduced to underlying cause, the idea of working on an underlying cause, and that had worked very well for me. And then I was introduced to functional medicine, so I followed it, followed through with it, and now 10 years down the road, it's been an amazing journey. I am a perfectionist, so I like to help people, and so when I have patients not getting better, those are the ones that I worry about. Those are the ones I think about. Not all the success stories, but the people that aren't getting better. And what is the underlying theme? It is that they're not working on the mental, emotional, spiritual part. Same thing going into why, because most people, when I bring this up, basically tell me to like move on, tell me what diet to do, tell me what supplements to take, tell me what lab tests to order, and I'll be fine. I don't have an issue there. Um, that never works out because your gut is connected to your brain. Your gut, that tube that we've talked about, is surrounded by a nervous system called the enteric nervous system. It has more neurons than your brain does. That nervous system is connected to your brain by what is called your vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is cranial nerve number 10, and you basically picture it as a highway going from your brain to your gut, and it carries signals in both directions. So the vagus nerve runs on your autonomic nervous system, which means automatic. You don't think about it. There's two basically responses, and this is responsible for how we've survived through evolution. Is we have a sympathetic nervous response and a parasympathetic nervous response. Sympathetic is fight or flight. That is, you're hiking in the mountains and you see a grizzly bear. Your body is like, okay, I need to survive. The energy goes to your brain and muscles to survive. If you survive and you're sitting by the campfire, you're now in parasympathetic, you're eating, the energy goes to your gut to break down food. People nowadays are living as if they're running from a bear 24/7. We wake up, the first thing we do is turn on the news, check our phones, there's breaking news, social media, wars, etc. And our mind tells our gut, okay, today's a survival day, we don't need you. And the sympathetic nervous system basically shuts down the gut. And in that scenario, it doesn't matter if you're exercising, if your diet's healthy, if you're shutting down the function of your gut via your vagus nerve, via the sympathetic nervous system, your gut will never heal. So that is the key to gut health. And that's what I really try to talk about in my book is that's the hardest part, right? I'm someone in recovery. Like I know all about denial and not wanting to accept things, and always wanting to do everything myself. But for most of us, we need help. And I define trauma as anything less than nurturing. Most people think of trauma as like violence and war. Trauma can be as simple as coming home from school and your parents aren't paying enough attention to you. Tells your body, sets off a signal of I'm not good enough. That shuts down your gut. That could present as disease when you're 2 months or when you're 4 years old, or that could present as disease in my office when you're 60. So I'm extremely passionate about that part of health because I want to help people, and I know I can't help someone heal their gut if they're not working on that part of their health.
Yeah, great points made right there. And once again, this information has been very insightful and really do appreciate your visit with us here today. Lastly, what are some of the most common conditions you treat from a gut health perspective? And do you think that most people understand the connection between their gut and their symptoms like eczema, joint pain, or headaches?
Yeah, so some people do. A lot of people, like when they come to me for something like eczema and I start talking about their gut, they're like, what is this guy talking about? Is he nuts? We're here to talk about my skin. Well, we talked about how inflammation gets into your body through your gut and it gets in your blood and then it can go anywhere. What's your biggest organ? Your skin. So, one of the favorite ways that gut imbalances like to present is with um, skin issues, whether it's eczema, psoriasis, etc., acne, whatever. So definitely, if someone's coming to me with skin issues, we're going to look at the gut. I work with high blood pressure. I work with, I'd say probably the most common thing is probably Hashimoto's thyroiditis that I see, besides like people that are coming with just like IBS and gut issues. But I've worked with most autoimmune conditions. I've had really, for me, shocking results working with families of autistic children. We've had kids that never spoke that now have full conversations. So we work with everybody. But I'd say probably the most common is autoimmune and skin and gut.
Once again, Dr. Kozlowski, really do appreciate your time and your visit with us here today. I'm sure listeners want to know how they could get more information on you by way of being in contact, as well as where can they pick up the book, Unfunc Your Gut?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that if someone's searching for my book, it's on wherever you get books. It's Unfunc with a C, not a K, and that comes from a saying at my practice that we said we put the funk in functional medicine. So that's where the Unfunc Your Gut comes from, and it's spelled with a C. So I've put a lot of information in there. I've gotten so much feedback now that people have either healed or they just felt so much more prepared for their functional medicine visit. If somebody wants to work with me, it's my website is the best way to get a hold of me. It's doc-koz.com, doc-koz.com. My assistant Jasmine answers the phone. She's fantastic. She can answer anybody's questions. And so either my website or my book are the best ways if someone is interested.
And that certainly is easy enough, and we'll leave links within the show notes of this broadcast to help the audience out as well. Dr. Kozlowski, all the best, and thanks for spending a moment with us here today on eHealth Radio.
Thank you so much.
Again, we've been visiting with Dr. Peter Kozlowski, a family medicine residency graduate who serves patients in person and online via his Montana and Chicago-based practices. Again, his new book is Unfunc Your Gut. Boost your immune system, heal your gut, and unlock your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And for all the details, visit doc-koz.com. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.